Hey everybody, welcome back to Doc's Autos, and today we're going to take a look at a cooling flush on our 98 Ford Mustang. Coming up. Alrighty, thanks for checking us out. If you have not yet, hit the subscribe button below, hit that post notification bell to make sure you are notified whenever we put out new content. Also, check us out over at Facebook and Instagram. We're posting content there before you ever see it here on YouTube. And we have a bunch of new merchandise over on our Teespring site, so go check all those things out. Now, today we are doing a little bit of maintenance and maybe repair, depends. Taking a break from our rebuilds for the 52 and the 72 Challenger because we're waiting for parts. Now, we got this Mustang last fall, and overall it's in really great shape. Just over 100,000 miles on it, 118,000 miles. Needs a new convertible top, and the biggest thing we're trying to track down is the coolant. So the story with this thing is that a couple years ago, I think 3-4 years ago, he said it overheated coming back one weekend, and the radiator hose blew. And when he went to the shop, found out that the wrong thermostat was in here. It was too hot, so vehicle was naturally running warm. And at that time had a case of oil in the coolant. So not the other way around, but nonetheless a little bit disturbing. And the thought was that the heads were bad and were warped anyways, and needed to be milled down or replaced. Maybe a head gasket failed and is allowing some oil out. Just don't know. But the problem has not been increasingly worse over time. It's just sort of stayed with a little bit of oil in the coolant. And I'm just curious if something didn't overheat. I won't doubt that. But if something didn't overheat and things have been fine since then, and no real permanent damage was done. So before I start digging into heads and gaskets and taking the top of the engine apart, I'm going to go ahead and flush out the coolant. We've got our Red Devil complete stuff here, or sorry, our Blue Devil complete radiator flush and degreaser. That's the important thing. So drain out your current coolant, take care of that responsibly, of course, and then fill this up and then top the system off with water, and then run the car for about an hour if you really want to agitate things. And then once it's cooled, drain it out, and then flush water through the system a couple of times to make sure this stuff is out of the system. It does say it can stay in there for a maximum of 4 hours. So having 2 young children, I'm playing roulette right now. Currently they're napping. So the plan is to drain this, put in the Blue Devil, run up to the parts store, grab parts for the pickup, come back, let this cool, and while I'm swearing at the pickup, this will cool down, and then I can go ahead and flush this out a couple of times and put some regular coolant back in it, drive around a little more and see if that's taking care of our problem or if we need to dig further into it. Now I figure for what this bottle was, $13 or something. I got it a couple of months ago and totally forgot how much it was. So I figured trying this out versus an overly invasive attempt to crack open the top end of the engine to figure out what's up, I'll give this a shot first. So we'll go ahead and do this and see where we get. All right, it's pretty difficult to see. See if I can get you down here. Oh, there you go. I don't know if you can see. I don't think you really can. Maybe. There's a little plug, little clear plug, right almost in the middle of your screen there, I believe. And that plug, that you want to unscrew that, and then that's where your coolant is going to drain out of. We've got to go ahead and put a drain pen under there and crack that open. If you look under here, there is our drain plug right there. So I've got a 5/16" Allen in it, and we should just crack that open. Then we can open it by hand, and there's a little drain cock right in here. It's tough to see, but you'll be able to just let everything drain out. There you go. Go ahead and untwist it. And there it goes. Ooh, all right, get you out of here. And yeah, I used my oil pan because that's all I've got sitting around here. So we're gonna go ahead and let that drain out. Alrighty, so while we're letting this drain out, I want to show you something. And hopefully you can see it on camera. Probably not because it's dark. Oh, nope. You can see, and I'll try and get a better picture of it, but that coolant is nice and green coming out of there. I don't see any mixture of oil in there. There was some sludge in the oil pan, but everything coming out of there looks nice and bright and green. Let's go topside. Now, the important thing here, once we put this Blue Devil stuff in there, like I said, we've got 4 hours to run to town, grab our parts, come back, let it cool down, and then flush it out. There's a big thing, about 4 hours, no more, or else it starts to do bad things to your cooling system. Reading about the product online, I found a number of forums where people said, hey, I had to leave it in there for 5 or 6 hours because I had an emergency or this or that, and now my cooling system leaks. It says 4 hours for a reason, so I'm gonna stick to 4 hours or less. So hopefully I can get to town and back in an hour, let it cool off, and that should give me plenty of time to get it drained out. And then I'm gonna set, like I said, 3 different flushes of the cooling system here, and hopefully that'll do it. But I wanna see what we get once we flush this out, because the only thing I really noticed for oil in here was when I opened up the radiator cap, you would see in the top of here just a little bit of oil like stuck to the side of the radiator here, just in this opening in the fill tube. I didn't actually see anything mixed in or anything like that. The overflow container, that did have a line. And you can see had one up here and then one down here, but I cleaned this off the best I could and cleaned it out, and the only overflow right now is right down here at the bottom, and I don't see a new ring of oil that's been generated. I've got to find it. This is, no, that's, yeah, some of that was in the overflow tank, and there was an oil ring on it, but I forget, I don't know what that was from. It's been there a long time. I think that was from the Mustang. Yeah, it's green, so that was from the Mustang. And there's a little bit of oil, and that was from that coolant reservoir. But I haven't, I've driven it around a few times since I cleaned this out, drove it to town for errands one day, ran it to town one day for fuel, ran into the other town last weekend for donuts and car parts, and I haven't seen any new signs of overheating or dumping oil back into the coolant. Now, of course, we haven't hit any really high temperatures yet, haven't run the air conditioner, haven't run the heater, haven't really pushed this thing beyond a nice, 55, 60 degree day. So I guess that'll probably be told later on this summer as we take it for some more tours and driving. I would like to go up to Duluth for a weekend with it. But before that, we need a new convertible top. That one is roached out. You can check that information out from our original video on this thing when we brought it home. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this thing finish draining out, fill it back up, and head to town. So we'll come back after we do our town run. Alrighty, folks, we've gone ahead and drained out the Blue Devil out of the cooling system, put in a new just bunch of water, and let it run for about 10 minutes. Get the temperature back up, and now we're just letting it cool off until we can drain the water out of it. Do that 2 more times. So there is a air bubble in here because when I took the cap off, it was still plenty of space in there for water. So we'll have to work on getting that air bubble out there finally when we put the coolant back in there for the last time. But we gotta let this cool off for a little bit. And a great idea my better half had was why not go over a little bit of springtime maintenance or prep for vehicles, especially convertibles that might sit for a winter, or any of your summer fun cars. So here's just a couple things to be mindful of. First is fluids. Oil, transmission fluid, wiper fluid, brake fluid, coolant, all that good stuff. If you are lucky enough to have a car with a transmission dipstick, you want to go ahead and check that. I'm not sure where the one is in this one. So it's very clear I have not done the spring maintenance on this thing yet, or even looked. Let's see. You see a trans dipstick in here anywhere? I know a lot of vehicles have gone away from dipsticks on the transmission, and even a lot of the newer ones for oil as well. Oh, there's my trans dipstick way down there. I can see it. Depending on your car, some like them checked cold, some like them checked warm, some like them checked in park, some like them checked in neutral. So go ahead and just refer to your owner's manual for checking that fluid. Oil, of course, you know, we don't put a whole lot of miles on our summer cars here, but I'll probably go ahead and change the oil once a year anyways, just so things aren't sitting around. I mean, oil by itself has a shelf life on it, but once you start getting all the particles in there and the goodness of the engine, it starts to break down the oil. And I think it's better just to go ahead and swap that out, change it, you know, for the 30, 40 bucks it costs for a good synthetic oil and a filter. It's worth it. Washer fluid, you know, take your pick. You've got tons of them out there. I don't particularly use a whole lot of it just because I don't, I guess. But make sure you check that pretty much here. It's going to say washer fluid on it, not to be confused with your brake fluid or your coolant. So coolant is one thing. Typically, you're going to have maybe a fill right on the radiator itself, or maybe it's going to be over, you have an expansion tank here. Typically, it's for overflow, or you may have just a dedicated coolant tank, like under the hood of the pickup. Let me show you. Oh yeah, look at this fun work going on over here. No good can come from that. Oh, one-handed big hood. On the pickup, we've got a separate coolant tank to fill and no access in the actual radiator itself. So again, depending on your vehicle, both Fords, but they're gonna vary. Brake fluid, easy one. There's gonna be a reservoir on your vehicle somewhere. Most vehicles is going to be here, look like this. On my BMW, actually, it's going to be hidden under a little valance here. You have to pull up and check it. But either way, that's there. Power steering fluid, a lot of vehicles are going to have a very similar cap to this. Give it a little twist. Check. And you should have a little bit of fluid on the bottom of that dipstick. This one you can see clearly says fill cold. And yep, washer fluid, coolant, oil, dipstick. Many newer cars like our X3 does not actually have a dipstick on it for the oil or transmission anymore. That's all controlled by the onboard computer stuff and infotainment system. So there's actually a menu option to go and check the oil on the vehicle itself, and it's got some internal sensors that'll take care of that and read back where your oil level is. So on this old thing, we've got a plain old dipstick. Same on the Ford, same on actually every other vehicle here we have. Air cleaner, that's kind of a check-in service as necessary. I'm not going to open this up because it's a pain, but open it up, and if you've got dust, bugs, dirt, leaves, whatever, you can either clean it out, knock off the filter, or if it's been a few years, go ahead and replace it. Again, they're pretty inexpensive and can lead to better performance and fuel economy for the vehicle. Tires, probably one of the overlooked things for a convertible or summer cars because, oh, I don't drive on them very much. You can see these here still have a ton of tread, almost nearly new. in terms of tread. But if you look at the date code, oh, where's that date code? There we go. It should say DOT, you have some numbers, and then in this case, 1414. That's going to mean they were made in the 14th week of 2014. Now, kind of a rule of thumb I've gone by is about 10 years for a set of tires. And likely you're going to date code out before you actually wear down the tires more than anything. Now, the pickup, we just replaced all 6 of those about 2 weeks ago. The rears were definitely needing to be replaced, and their date code was 2012, I think. Yeah, midway through 2012. But if we go take a look at these new ones here, where is our code? All right, this one here, we have a different code, NH10-3 of 20. So possibly that's made, I don't know, 10th month, 3rd week of 2020. Either way, there is a way to go ahead and look this up. On the old set of Hancooks that were on here, the date code was the 12th month of 2016. I think something like that. But there was definitely a month and year indicator. Let's take a look at the BMW here quick. Oh, where's that code? There we go. Turn all the way around upside down. You can see the 48th week of 2019. Now that would be accurate because I got these tires in December of 2019 actually. And if we can look at, there you go, another set here for the new Yokohamas we just got on the Subaru, 40th week of 2020. So just takes a little bit of looking around to figure out when your tires were made and if they need to be replaced. Check these back ones here real quick. Nope, those are all the same. Now, another thing about cars stored for winter seasons or whatever is they can tend to get flat spotted. So you have kind of a flat spot going down the road. Or they get hard and you lose traction, you lose performance and handling, comfort. So tires are one of those things you probably just don't want to skimp on. When they look bad or they're old, just go ahead and replace them. You'll save yourself a lot of trouble. Brakes, another thing. So those are on our list to get replaced, just not a priority right now. A lot of times you'll end up with issues, the calipers like the pickup we just worked on, that sits for a majority of the year, and a couple of the calipers rusted, so when I hit the brakes, they didn't want to come off, and they bound and caused smoking, and nearly caught fire. So brakes, another one of those things, don't really want to screw around with, just get it taken care of, make sure that they work. Tires, brakes, and oil are 3 things my father had said growing up that you don't skimp on, you don't take chances on, you just do it. So that's kind of an overview. I mean, there's tons of other things depending on your car, your convertible top, how's that working? Is it has electric? Is it manual? Is it hydraulic? Depending on what you've got. I know like some of the, what is it, the Chrysler Crossfires and whatnot, they've got a fluid-based system for opening and retracting the soft top or hard top, whatever. So just be mindful of that and kind of take a little bit of extra care in the spring to make sure everything is up to snuff for your summer cruiser. There's nothing worse than going on a road trip or a nice Sunday cruise with the family or the better half and the car breaks down. That's no fun for anybody. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of let this thing finish cooling off, and I'll go ahead and drain out this first round of fluid, fill it up again, and run it again, and we'll come back for our final fill of our coolant. Alrighty folks, so we are wrapping up here with this little project. Just go ahead and filling in the last little bit of coolant here. Just got some basic O'Reilly's 50/50. Get us going. And I've got a air pocket in here that I've got to let work through. But otherwise, after that, I think I'll just probably change the oil. We're at that 120,000 mile marker almost exactly. And I try and keep all of my vehicles on 5,000 miles per oil change just because. I mean, the BMWs at what, 10, the pickup's at 75, this, that, the other thing. It's just easier for me. I have a common schedule for everything, so I never have to worry about this mileage or that mileage. I mean, I've got logs and I just forget where they are and forget to look at them. So that's where we're gonna go with that and get that flipped or changed out. So we'll be all good for the summer of driving, except for that convertible top. So that's gonna be the next thing we tackle on this thing, assuming that we don't have any more oil coming back into the coolant. So we'll drive it around a little bit, check it out, and nothing I can immediately determine right now. So I have to give it a little bit of driving. There was a little bit of milkshake that popped up from the cleaning and kind of agitation of that Blue Devil stuff. So we'll see if I get anything that comes back. And if it does, then we'll investigate from there on what to do next. So I want to thank you for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful for you, especially that little tidbit for spring cleanup or spring tune-up for your cars. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button below if you have not. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, Teespring for sure. Pick up some merchandise, and be sure to catch us in the next video. We'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.